It's presidential, the outcome evidential. We strive for higher mental. This time, no accidental. We shine. Welcome, gang, to the livest reading show on the planet. You already know what it is, right? Read, remember, repeat. And we out here in Florida today. You know what I mean? My son's second birthday. This week we turning up, man. You know what I mean? Taking it up another notch, you feel me? I hope everybody is blessed today, though, man. Read, remember, repeat. Let's go. Let's go. All right. His answer didn't register with me. Did he just say we're not going to go and get that money? That couldn't be right. Why not? I asked incredulously. Because I don't want to go on tour for months. And then I come home and Haley's grown. He explained, referring to his daughter. In that moment, I didn't understand where M was coming from. I couldn't get past what I viewed as a missed opportunity. But over time, I came to understand M's perspective better. Yes, it's always nice to pick up a check, but a check is never more important than an experience you value. Granted, M had the luxury of already having made tens of millions of dollars. He didn't have to worry about financially supporting Haley. He was good on that count. He just needed to focus on emotional support. But I believe M would have made the same decision even if he was still broke and living on 8 Mile Road in Detroit. One of the reasons M has been so successful is that he's never chased things. He's never let external forces tell him what to care about. He's cognizant of what matters to him. And that's what he focuses on. And I would argue that not chasing dollars is one of the main reasons he's made so many of them. If M had chased the easy money, he would have come out of the gate, present himself as Vanilla Ice knockoff, or he would have made rock and roll records, which is what a lot of folks told him to do. But he had too much talent and respected hip-hop too much to ever do that. He was going to pay his dues and establish himself as a real MC, even if it meant putting off getting paid at first. Money is the goal, but oftentimes in order to get it, you have to retrain your brain, value experience, especially if you weren't born with a silver spoon in your mouth. Maybe you weren't able to go to a college where your friends would walk you into their parents' company and get you a good job. If you weren't blessed with any of those advantages, you have to figure out how to get access to whatever world you're trying to get a start in. And a lot of times, the easiest way is to break in is by working for free as an intern. I did that a couple of times when I was trying to get into the music business. The first time was when I was working with Jam Master Jay. I was getting frustrated when I was stuck out at Jay's studio in Queens most of the time and wasn't really getting a taste of the larger scene. So Jay did me a solid. He was friendly with a guy named Jesse Itzler, who was active in the music industry. Jesse had written a bunch of songs for artists like Tone Loc, as well as the New York Knicks theme song, Go New York Go. Throughout that, he got in a job to run the Knicks street team. After Jay introduced us, Jesse made me an offer. If I'd help him with the Knicks street team, he'd show me the ropes in the music business. Sounded like a good deal. So every day I link up with Jesse and spend a few hours driving around New York in a Knicks van, handing out team wristbands and keychains. Then we head back to Jesse's studio, and I'd help with whatever song he was working on. Maybe help him find a sample or figure out how to voice a chorus. My only payment was free Knicks gear, but it was a great education for a kid who was trying to work, trying to figure out how songwriting and the music business worked. My most valuable internship came a few years later after I signed to Columbia. Once I realized they were stalling the release of my album, I was left with a choice. Was I going to just head back to the hood and bitch about how this label was fucking me over? Or was I going to do something constructive? While I waited, I chose the constructive path. The way I saw it, Columbia might have been stalling, but I was still signed to them. I still had access to their office. I was going to make the most of that access. Nobody invited me. Just do shit. But I decided I was going to an unofficial intern at Columbia Records. I'd been an unofficial intern for Jesse Itzler, who was just hustling for himself. And I'd learned some valuable information. So why not a major company like Columbia? What were they going to do? Tell me no? I knew they would let me intern because it was easier than having another conversation about why my album didn't have a release date yet. Every morning, I would take the subway from South Jamaica to the Sony building to Midtown Manhattan. When I got there, I wasn't messing around, trying to flirt with assistants or smoking weed in the stairwells like most of the visiting rappers. Nope, I got to work. I would pop in on every department and try to soak up as much information as possible. I'd visit OJ, who oversaw street radio promotion. I'd pick his brain and try to understand how he approached getting a single out to the right people. Then I'd go and sit with Gail, who was the publicist. I'd watch her work the phones with editors and journalists, trying to get stories placed in magazines. She was placed in magazines. Sorry, guys. Boop, 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 boop. This is OJ oversaw street radio promotion. I pick his brain and try to understand how he approached getting a single out to the right people. Then I go sit with Gail, who was my publicist. I watch her work with the phones with editors and journalists, trying to get stories placed in magazines. She was dealing with other people's projects, but I wanted to learn how the publicity machine worked. Then I'd go and shadow Julian, who was in charge of artwork. I'd ask him about his thought process when he was designing an album. What sort of visuals were effective at selling albums, and what sort of images didn't work as well. I basically did that with every department. I kept asking questions and soaking up information until I finally came to a realization the label couldn't do everything for me. This might seem like an obvious statement, but back then, most rappers didn't truly appreciate the limitations of a label. They thought once they got signed to a major, they could just put things on cruise control and the folks in the offices would do the rest. Those artists thought the record companies were God. But after poking around, I learned that they were very human. They were very human. Labels could do some things well, but there were other elements that were pretty much out of their hands. Through interning, I was able to see that I was going to have to make myself hot before OJ could get my songs played, or Gail would be able to get me magazine articles. I realized that the labels could build on momentum, but they were limited when it came to creating it. That's why I ended up releasing How to Rob. I identified that needed to create a buzz that was going to jolt the label into action. I needed to create my own energy, not hope that someone was going to flip a switch for me. I would have never come to that realization if I hadn't first decided to create my own internship. They weren't paying me to come in every morning, but the information I absorbed was invaluable. Having a realistic understanding of what a record company wasn't going to do for me probably saved my career. With that being said, gang, y'all already know what it is. It's hot out here. I'm about to take it in the crib, read, remember, repeat. I might get back with y'all tonight. I might not, but I'm telling y'all the truth, and I will be here for y'all to read this. You know what I mean? It's good information for you.
Peace. Maybe this one, it ain't meant for you. I think about now when I finish too. I think about mind, body, and spiritual, like leaving something going, you still feel it too. And writing these bars, know what I finna do. Put it on the wall and laugh about how we did it too. I'm praying all the good for you, but dog, I don't really know what's good for you. But listen to the end of you and don't believe in difficult. Focus on the visual, I swear we going digital.